Yo, what's good? My name is Reginald, aka the R-Star, aka Mr. Straight Fire, and this is Unabashedly Reggie's Eminem Castle Breakdown, the rise and fall of Eminem.
December 1st, 1995.
You'll be coming out of mommy's stomach soon. I better do something quick if I'ma be able to support you. If I use the same energy while I'm saying rhymes and write them with the same passion and the same exact enthusiasm as I'm using in this letter, maybe they can feel me as I put out this last album, then I'm done with it. 100% finished, fed up with it, I'm hanging it up. Fuck it!
Before we start, remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and also hit that bell to get notified of new videos. If you're on Facebook, go there and like my page. And finally, if you want to support this channel, go over to patreon.com/unabashedlyreggie. It will only cost you $1. And by doing so, you get to see the song's full highlighted rhyme sheet as well as the full cut of this breakdown, which is a little bit longer. Now, on to the song. Castle is the second to last song of Eminem's Revival album. It was produced by frequent collaborator DJ Khalil, who also produced songs like Talking to Myself, 25 to Life, Survival, and recently, Kings Never Die. On the hook, you have singer Liz Rodriguez, who's a member of DJ Khalil's group, The New Royals. She was also the lady singing on 25 to Life and Survival. So what do I think of the song? Of course, like everyone else, it's one of my favorite songs off Revival. Great production. Although not by Eminem, it feels like an Eminem beat, and Eminem is great on it as well. What I love about his performance is that he sounds like the way he actually was rapping in that 06-07 era. Even the way it was mixed, so you really feel like going back in time. Even the rhyming is not as complex in this song, just like it was in his drugged out period. So I think it was done on purpose. Overall, amazing song. The concept of the song, where Eminem writes letters to Haley, is actually based on real life. On the shady fireside chat he did on Shade 45 when Revival was released, he said this.
When I got the Castles beat, it made sense to me that, you know, I would when Haley was like about to be born, I would always like write letters that I thought maybe one day I'd give her, or, you know, just to have them or whatever. And that's kind of where the concept came from, was like, let me start from the beginning.
And the last three songs of the album, In Your Head, Castle, and The Rose, are all tied together. And it's where he reflects on that awful addiction period in his life and addresses Haley. And what makes it different from the other songs about his personal life is that it jumps in time, and each verse is from a view of that time. Now for the breakdown. As you saw, this has a different title than my other videos. That's because this song is not really complex in terms of rhyming or wordplay, so I wanted to do something different. On top of the usual analysis, I'll chronicle Eminem's rise and fall with the verses and give backstories to the lyrics. You can always jump to a specific verse by checking the description. Each verse can be put in a timeline with other songs, which I will call the MDU, the Eminem Discography Universe. I know, very original. Anyways, let's break it down. If you're familiar with my videos, I usually don't break down the hooks, but this one is very interesting because it hides references to other songs. And also, there's a parallel timeline in it because Liz Rodriguez is singing about the third verse, which is Eminem reaching his hard-to-deal-with level of fame. And on the other hand, Eminem is singing about the first and second verse, which are pre-fame. Let's check it out. I built this castle, now we are trapped on the throne. I'm sorry we're alone. That is a recurring topic by Eminem, feeling trapped because of his fame. And those lines are direct references to what he talks about in Say Goodbye Hollywood. Like when he said, "It's like the boy in the bubble who never could adapt, I'm trapped." And most importantly, the last line of that song, because all I wanted was to give Haley the life I never had instead of forced us to live alienated. And that one line in Say Goodbye Hollywood pretty much sums up the sentiment of the whole song. I wrote my chapter, you'll turn the page when I'm gone. Of course, that can easily be linked to the song When I'm Gone. Remember how the hook goes, and when I'm gone, just carry on. And turning the page is an expression that means to move on from something, just like what carry on means. So that line is almost exactly the same as the line in the When I'm Gone chorus. I hope you'll sing along. This is your song. This is your song makes it another chapter in all the songs dedicated to Haley. You could say that this is sort of Haley's song part 4, with Mockingbird being part 2, and When I'm Gone, which could be considered part 3. And now the part sung by Eminem. I just want you to know that I ain't scared. Whatever it takes to raise you, I'm prepared to do whatever, That part of the hook is sang from the perspective of a hungry and broke Eminem, which are the perspective of the first and second verse. But that part is also sang before the last verse, which is post-fame, what's crazy about that, the song ends with him taking a lot of drugs and passing out. So when he sings "Prepare to Do Whatever," it makes you wonder if it wasn't just another suicide attempt because he felt it would be better for Haley without him on the planet. Damn. Okay, first verse. Hey, quick thing. Before we look at the first verse, check out EminemBase.com. It's a great Eminem fan site with news, opinion pieces, and also a section dedicated to my videos, Unabashedly Reggie. The first verse is a letter written on December 1st, 1995, which is 24 days before Haley was born on Christmas of that year, December 25th. So this verse is pretty much ground zero when it comes to Eminem's career, since it's almost a full year before releasing Infinite, his first album. That's why this verse goes at the very beginning of the timeline of the MDU. You'll be coming out of mommy's stomach soon. I better do something quick if I'm gonna be able to support you. I can barely support me, but as long as you're healthy, that's all that matters for the time being. But obviously, in the first line, you have a nice assonance with the sound, with coming out of mommy's stomach. Eminem at the time was working as a cook and a dishwasher at a restaurant called Gilbert's Lodge in Detroit. He referenced that place in Kings Never Die, by the way. There, he made $5.50 an hour, and he worked 60 hours a week for 6 months straight after Haley's birth. That's how dedicated he was to support his family. Assuming you will be, just thinking ahead, I'ma make it if it kills me. Let's see how far I can take it with this music. I'm getting sick of chasing this illusion. Sorry for sloppy writing, the pen in my hand is shaking, please excuse me. Alliteration, sorry for sloppy. I don't know if that's just me, but sloppy writing reminds me of Stan. And as you can see, especially in this section, the rhyming is very uncommon because the emphasis isn't on the end rhyme, but more on the second to last syllable. Music, illusion, excuse me. But of course, you have other internal rhymes like make it with take it, chase it with shaken, and also assuming, illusion. Again, this is before releasing Infinite, but he was working on it between that first and second letter in 1995. Imagine working 60 hours a week, taking care of a newborn, and trying to find time to write and go to the studio. It almost seems impossible to achieve. That's why he feels like he's chasing an illusion. As a matter of fact, on Infinite, he does talk about his struggles of raising Haley with the help of his grandma while living on limited funds. Dad's a little nervous, but at the same time excited. If I use the same energy while I'm saying rhymes and writing with the same passion and the same exact enthusiasm as I'm using in this letter, maybe they can fuel me asm. That part might be the best delivery in the whole song. The way you have the asm sound repeated and the energy he says the line with is simply beautiful. Now, a lot of sites have it as "fill me as I am," but I hear fuel, and that actually makes 5-syllable rhyme. Enthusiasm can fuel me asm. And it makes sense because Eminem is writing those letters as a way to self-motivate himself. Haley has always been his biggest motivation to succeed. Trying to build these castles out of sand, baby girl. For you to sit on the throne, I got plans, baby girl. Trying to build castles out of sands means to try to accomplish something really big, although you might not have the right tools. So he had plans to make it really big in his music, but when he looked at what he had and how he was living, plus the obstacle of being a white rapper, he felt like his foundation was as solid as sand. Not solid at all. And from those lines, we see this motivation to succeed, to build an empire. But as we know, that plan will blow up in his face because he will exceed his own expectations and become ultra famous and be trapped in that said throne. Welcome to Mom and Dad's crazy world. Love, Daddy. Maple flavored kisses, butter, pancakes, and syrup. That last line, if you're trying to figure out what it means, it doesn't mean anything really. It's just a cute thing that parents will say to their child, and it might even be something he used to say to Haley when she was a baby. With that said, let's go to the second verse. The second verse, the letter is dated December 1st, 1996. So Haley is about to turn 1 year old, and Eminem just released Infinite on November 12th of that year. And the reviews and sales for that album were horrible. So Eminem's feeling in that verse are of mixed emotions. On one hand, he feels proud as a father to see his daughter getting older and being healthy, but on the other, he is extremely down on himself due to the poor reception that Infinite got. It actually flopped. Let's check it out. You got your mama's personality, same eyes as I got, her beautiful smile, but your ears are the same size as mine are. Sorry for that, a little minor mishap, but you'll grow into him, baby. I'm on the grind now. Growing up, Eminem was actually made fun of for his big ears, so it's cool to see him poke fun at himself. And if you remember, in the 8 Mile movie, his rap name is B-Rabbit because his mother, played by Kim Basinger, used to call him Rabbit as a kid because he had buck teeth and big ears like a rabbit. I'm doing little shows, open mics, all-nighters at studios while I'm trying to keep the lights on. Why does it seem like I'm so close to this dream, yet so far I just keep steering? I'ma turn into someone I haven't the slightest clue. A nice four-syllable rhyme that I like here is mics, all-nighters with lights on widers. Plus there's a wordplay with keep steering and turning to someone. The keep steering means to continue to pursue something, and when you're driving, steering is turning. That's why if he keeps steering, he'll turn into someone. So although he's down on his luck and feels so far from his dream, he still has hope that if he continues to pursue this rap thing, he'll become someone in the rap game. And those open mics refer to the hip-hop shop on West 7 Mile in Detroit, which was ground zero for the rap Detroit scene. In fact, on Saturdays, him and Proof would go there and Eminem would showcase his skills as he was preparing to release Infinite. Another cool thing, if you go on YouTube, you can actually find a freestyle battle between Eminem and fellow D12 member Kaniva. And that happened in February 1996. It's such a cool thing to see. I'll put a link in the description of this video. Slightest clue what I'ma do if it falls through. You took your first steps today, you'll probably walk soon. My Infinite CD flopped, too many soft tune. They talking bad about that, it's ticking me off too. Notice the alliteration here with the TD sound. They're talking, dad, ticking me off too. Infinite was released on November 12, 1996. That's less than 3 weeks before this letter. I don't know if M actually thought of that when he wrote the song, because that's a very short period of time to label something as a flop. Anyways, it actually ended up being a flop because it sold less than 1,000 copies. The main criticism he got at the time was that it was too soft and he sounded too much like Nas and AZ, something he talks about in the song Guts Over Fear. And that made him angry. And actually, if you go listen to AZ's song Rather Unique, you'll see that it sounds a lot like the Infinite song. Even some of the words and rhyming are the same. Makes me feel like I don't belong or something. Ooh, I think I might have just stumbled onto something new. The reason why he felt he didn't belong was because of what people said to him due to his skin color. In that 1999 Rolling Stone magazine, where he graced the cover of, he said, "Mother was like, you're a white boy. Why the f are you rapping for? Why don't you go into rock and roll?" All that type of ish started pissing me off. And you can see him getting angrier. As far as I think I might have just stumbled onto something new, what is that new something? Well, all the negative feedback he got plus the rough time he was having led to a style change. Let's hear what Eminem himself had to say about this.
I went through a series of events, style changes, shit happening in my life, just drastic, just different shit. And the way I was rapping began to get more hostile and more, like fuck the world type shit. So I started coming in with songs like it was talking about overdosing on drugs and fuck life and this and that, and it caught their ear in a whole different way, just like it started catching everyone else's ear.
And that, my friends, was the birth of Slim Shady, a name he actually came up with while he was sitting down taking a crap. True story. After that, he started writing with this alter ego, and it led to the Slim Shady EP a year later in 1997, which has that aggressive style that we know and contains songs like If I Had and the great Just Don't Give a, which pretty much sums up his attitude at the time. Now, the last lines. Got a prediction for the future. I'm hoping that you open this envelope when you're older and it holds true. He ended the song with a great accents with the O-N sounds. Hoping, open, envelope when an older end. There are a few things that happened around that time he didn't talk about. For example, his suicide attempt after releasing Infinite as he was struggling with substance abuse. But he also the fact that he got fired 5 days before Christmas of that year. So it means that this letter would have been written after the firing. Something he briefly talks about on Mockingbird when he says he couldn't afford to buy his daughter a gift. That was one of the worst times in his life. And Eminem said in that same Rolling Stone article that he wrote rock bottom right after that. So if we go back to the timeline, the second verse would be after Infinite and around the same time as Rock Bottom. And we can also add If I Had somewhere after those two. The final verse of this song takes place on December 24th, 2007, which is Christmas Eve and before Haley's 12th birthday. That's when Eminem almost died and was in the hospital. Remember the whole pneumonia thing? It was Bologna. Indeed, that's when Eminem overdosed on prescription drugs around that Christmas time of 2007. On top of that, he was still dealing with Proof's death, so you can imagine how hard times were. On to the final verse, but before that, remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so you can get a notification as soon as one of my videos is uploaded. And finally, head over to patreon.com/unabashedlyreggie to support me. Let's go! Now, if you found these letters, I guess I better try to explain a lot's happening between them since I rise to this fame. I've said your name, but always tried to hide your face. This game is crazy. I wanted to claim my love for you, but dang. Oh yeah, a lot of things have happened in between the second and third verse. Among the important things that led to his rise to stardom are the Rap Olympics of 1997. With his Slim Shady persona and new style, he started getting more exposure, and it led to him competing at that event and earning the second place. Who's first place? Who cares? More importantly, that's where he was able to give a Slim Shady EP demo to Interscope, and once they heard him, the rest is history. Let's go back to the timeline so we can add some songs that would fit in between those letters. Say Goodbye Hollywood, which he wrote after being arrested for assault, so he probably wrote it somewhere between 2000 and 2001. And that song is very similar to that verse because it talks about him dealing with his sudden fame. And around that time, of course, you have Haley's song When He Got Custody of His Daughter. Then you have Mockingbird, another song dedicated to Haley where he sort of apologizes for their crazy life. And the song that marks the beginning of his addiction to prescription drugs, which he talks about in, is When I'm Gone. This song was written around the same time as Mockingbird, 2003-2004, but recorded in 2004. Although dedicated to his daughter, it was also written as a goodbye to fans because he was considering taking an extended break around that time, and that would lead into some of the next lines. And sadly, you have Proof's death in 2006, rest in peace, continuing. I never knew it'd be like this. If I did, I wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't ask for none of this. Now you're being punished. Things that should have been private with me and your mother was public. I can't stomach. They can take this fame back. I don't want it. This whole portion reminds me, again, of Say Goodbye Hollywood because he talks about the same guilt towards Haley and regretting being famous with lines like, if I could go back, I never would have rapped. And of course, the final lines of that song that I mentioned while talking about the hook. I'll put out this last album, then I'm done with it, 100% finished, fed up with it. Little alliteration with the F's, finished, fed up. I'm hanging it up. Excuse the cursing, baby, but just know that I'm a good person, though they portray me as cold. To be clear, when he says I'll put out this last album, he's not talking about revival. Remember, he's talking from the perspective of himself in 2007. Around that time, there was a rumored album, possibly called King Mathers, and it was supposed to be his last album. Some songs leaked from that period and led to an unofficial mixtape/EP called Straight from the Lab. I would also like to think that the song Beautiful was probably meant for that album. So let's go back to the timeline to see where Beautiful fits. Eminem first went into rehab in 2005, where he canceled his anger management tour, the European leg. And in another interview with Anthony Bosa, he said he wrote Beautiful while sitting on a bed in detox. Therefore, I would put Beautiful right before this third verse. Again, this is not a perfect science. I'm doing some speculation based on info on the web. Let's go back to our verse. And if things should worsen, don't take this letter I wrote as a goodbye note because your dad is at the end of his rope. I'm sliding down the slippery slope. Anyways, sweetie, I better go. I'm getting sleepy. Love, Dad. Shh, I don't know. An alliteration with the S sounds. Sliding down the slippery slope. Anyways, sweetie, sleepy. You also have a cool imagery here where he uses two expressions. Being at the end of your rope means to run out of options, and slippery slope is a series of events that is hard to stop and usually leads to more difficult things. So when you put the two together, he's trying to climb this obstacle, but there's no more rope. So he just slides down the rock bottom. Pretty sad. And with him saying he's feeling sleepy and then just collapsing, it's pretty much the same ending as Deja Vu. For that reason, on that timeline, that verse and Deja Vu would be right next to each other in 2007. And that concludes this breakdown. As you saw, this song was not really heavy on complex lyricism or wordplay, but it is not always just about that. Sometimes it's about how the artist is able to convey emotions to make us feel their pain. Mission accomplished. It is an amazing song and why it's among fans' favorite song of Revival. Great job, Marshall. And that is it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. That was a bit different, more documentary, biographical style. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel, and please, if you can, go to my Patreon and toss me a buck over there. And oh, you don't have to ask. Yes, a rose will be the next video, but until then, this has been Unabashedly Reggie. Thanks, it's been real.